Welcome in to 11 Personnel, presented by Monticello Bank. I'm Nick Roush. He's Adam Luckett. It's June 11th. We're in the dog days of summer, kind of, sort of, not in a way, but excited to be here because there's still quite a bit happening for a Tuesday in June. Luckett, how we feeling? How we doing over there?
Long night. Monday, Sunday night, long night. Can't
Yep.
remember what night it was at this point. So honestly got one of the best nights of sleep I probably had in, I don't know, 10 years last night, just sleeping that off. And so now just digging into some football stuff. Went out to camp Sunday. I know you were out of camp on Monday.
Uh-huh.
And recruiting starting to uptick. Developments are happening. Guys are committing. And it's only going to get more high traffic volume here moving forward.
It is just so different, the world we're in now in the summer, June recruiting month, because it is such a significant time, but it's so, like, I don't want to completely diminish what's happening at the camps, because I feel like when I went out on Monday, there was some solid stuff out there, some decent looking guy. I mean, Ryan Day's kid was out there camping and throwing. But it used to be that was almost the tryout, and now that's an afterthought, right? Like, we're just all in on the official visits and seeing the new guys and that sort of deal. So it's a little different, but there is a lot happening with the official visits, and that's just a blip of what's happening right now. We're going to talk about Darren Stray and his commitment to Kentucky. We're going to roll out the scheduled times for the Wildcats. Talk about that. But first, I want to tell you about our good friends at Monticello Bank, where they've been in business since the 1800s, over 125 years, serving the Commonwealth of Kentucky because they do business the right way. They're putting people first. It's where people matter. They're going to get the numbers on your side to make you get the best possible deal out there, whether you're trying to finance a new car, get a mortgage for your new home, whatever it may be. Monticello Bank has you covered. They're in a community near you, and they're online at nbcbank.com. Monticello Bank, equal housing lender, member FDIC. Check them out today. Monticello Bank, proud presenting sponsors of 11 Personnel. We're big fans of Monticello Bank. I almost rocked the hat tonight, but as Matty G said on the chair, I spent a long time fixing my hair up. I had to show it off. Looks great. I'm excited. It's a big weekend too, because the Batcats are in the College World Series. St. Paul's Picnic's happening, like it, and everybody knows that's the event of the summer, right? People come from miles and miles away to go to Dixie Highway to eat a chicken dinner and do a little gambling and drink some ice cold beer. So it's there's a lot going on. You're gonna go on vacation. How excited are you just to get out there and spread your legs a little bit?
I am. It'll be nice to have something on the TV while we're down there. So we'll get to watch some postseason baseball. And I haven't been to an amusement park, Nick, in a long time. Like probably since
Oh,
high school, I would say.
oh man, are you
Maybe
taking
early
kids
college.
to the amusement park?
We are. We're doing one day at Magic Kingdom. We're doing one day at Universal.
Okay.
We're taking both the kids. Grandparents are going.
Hmm.
I think
Okay.
second set of grandparents are joining at Universal.
Okay, good.
So
So you've got some, like, hey, let's go ride some
tag
roller
team.
coasters. Yeah, exactly. Like, you can go get in some of those rides. The Mummy is still one of the best rides in all of amusement park land out at Universal. So I recommend
Yeah,
that.
I've never been to. I've done the Disney thing. I've been to Disney World, been to Disneyland, but I've never done Universal. So I'm definitely excited about that. If you have any suggestions about Universal,
Yeah.
let me tell me, hit me
The
up in the
the the
chat.
mu- the Mummy is by far the best. Like, low key, you're not gonna have to, like. I think we wrote it like 5 times in 30 minutes. It was one of those where it's a lot of fun, but it's not a long wait. The Harry Potter ones are gonna be long, but they've got one that's kind of like a
Yeah.
Twisted Sisters where it's two.
Right.
It's kind of fast
You still have the
moving.
Jurassic Park ride. I remember like that being advertised when I
Yep,
was a kid.
they still have Jurassic Park. There's a Transformers one. They have two 3D roller coasters, which are kind of like the first time you get on one of those, you're like, "What the hell is going on here?" Like this is a lot. So the Transformers one's good, and they got a good Harry Potter one. I would say those are the big ones you want to make sure you hit. And then the one thing too, I always liked it. Like I was even telling my uncle this weekend, it was my favorite. They have the Hollywood Horror Makeup Show, and it's like the most dad thing about me. Like it's some guy goes up there and he shows you how they did makeup for all the old horror movies, and they pull some poor soul out of the audience and they act like, all right, use this prop knife on me, and then he like, oh my god, you cut my arm off, and it like freaks the person out, and it's like good, clean fun. I might be a little young for the kids, but it's great because you just go sit in the air conditioning for 15 minutes, get off
Yeah.
your feet a little bit.
Yeah, the weather's not. It's gonna be hot, but not too hot, like high 80s. So that's good. In Orlando last week, it was like 98, 99. So I think we timed the week right. So yeah, definitely excited about it. And then get away for a little bit, and then come back, and it's go time here with the
Yeah.
end of this big recruiting push, and then we get into talking season. Then we get into camp season, and then the real season starts after that.
Yeah, so it'll be fun. It'll be fun. It is kind of vacation month at KSR with a rotating cast of characters. So I will not be on vacation next week, but I'll be efforting somebody to come hang out with me and talk some ball for a little bit. But let's talk some ball now, and I guess we'll start. What do you want to start with? Like we start schedule or recruiting?
Let's
I'll
start with the
pick.
schedule.
Okay,
Everyone wants to hear about the schedule. Let's start with the schedule.
Well, let's start with the schedule because we knew the schedule, but we didn't know dates and times. And I don't want to diminish what happened today because I appreciate having a little bit of advance notice more so than just finding out or 2 Mondays before. But I had a feeling we would get kind of what we got today, where about a third of the games they just said flex, and we got the early kickoff times. And I think the biggest story of them all is we're going back to the Grove for another nooner. We went 12 years without going to the Grove, one trip there in only 20 something years, and then you go twice in 3 years, and they're both noon kickoffs, 11 a.m. local. It's not ideal, like it, not
Here,
ideal at all.
I will say, if you're watching from home, it's great because the 7:30 game that day is Georgia Alabama, which might be the biggest game of the
Oh,
season.
yeah,
And for us in our line of work, Nick, we kind of get to do both. Like you
that's
get to
true.
enjoy some of the early Grove tailgate stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and then we get to get out later. So we get to. So for us, it's not too bad. Like for
Yeah,
us, it's kind of convenient. But
right, right.
for the fans going or the fans looking in to go, it's a big bummer for sure. To,
And
to double dip them like that that's tough.
and that is one thing too. Look at that. I feel bad in all of this because I would take 11 noon games, right? Like I love them because it's instead of waiting around. Like I get
Yeah.
nervous if I have to wait around all day. Like I want to
I'd
just
say for
wake up, pound some
yeah for
coffee, and get to work.
for the big home games though, I even the nights we get in at 4 o'clock in the morning, I still like the big buzz, especially at home in Lexington. Like the big build ups for the big games and the big wins, like it's worth it. Because the place is better at night. I will, to my opinion. Kroger Field is. Um, so
I don't know.
I'll
That
say
Florida
that.
game was pretty awesome last year. I mean
But
that.
yeah, the road games specifically, yes,
Right,
noon,
right.
get in and
Ten-
out for sure.
Tennessee is the one that I was very upset to see that it is going to be a night game because uh I hate Tennessee more than most, and when I saw that intro and they were wearing that all black, and it was that 2 weeks removed from them beating Bama when Kentucky walked into that buzzsaw. I mean that
Pretty
was
sure
that was that
they were
was
going to
tough.
Georgia the next weekend.
Yeah, that was one of those where you're like, well, I don't. Good luck, guys. I don't know what else to say here. So I would have preferred that one to stay out of the night. But I do think that there were some fun little wrinkles for the times we did get. I mean, we knew that in Murray State and Ohio, if the opener was going to be a night game, you're probably going to get some early games for the other non-cons.
Yeah.
But 1:30 for Murray State, it's a little weird. I don't know how I'm going to
Yeah,
feel about that.
throwing a bone, I think, to the fans. Like it's early, it's on internet, but it's not super early.
Yeah, like you still, if you show up at 11 o'clock, like that's a good 2 hours of tailgating, right? Like you aren't kind of getting up at the crack of dawn. You watch a little bit of game day, a little bit
Right.
of start of the early slate. Like
I
that's got to
mean,
be a nice viewing experience,
if you're
especially in November where you want to have day games in November to warm up a little.
if you're leaving from Louisville, if you're leaving from Northern Kentucky, if you're leaving from Danville, or if you're leaving
Ashland,
from
yeah.
Somerset, wherever, where you have a little bit of drive, you don't have to leave really, really early. That's part of the tough thing about it. It's not just Kentucky that faces this problem. It's all throughout the country on these college campuses where a lot of people are driving an hour plus
Hmm.
ish to get to the game, to get to the town, to get to the stadium. So at least then you don't have to leave at super early time. You can leave at a decent time in the morning, get there, have an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours in the parking lot before you have to go in, and then also you're out of there by 5. You're probably home by 7ish. So that nice little bone for a game that's will be the least attended game of the season. So I think that was throwing the fan, and that's mainly what this was about to me, Nick. It was they were throwing fans a bone here.
Hmm. Well, and
As compared to the last system where it was so
walked in, right?
well, it's so TBD. Well, you got to wait until 12 days
Yeah.
before.
Well, yeah, and I mean there was Josh on the chat says it takes him 2.5 hours to get to Kroger Field every weekend. I met some fans from Murray, like that's the guy was bragging. I can get here in 3.5, or I can get here in 3, right? Like, depending on how fast you're going. But for some people, I mean that's almost 7-8 hours of driving. So to be able to at least have an idea, or even better, do the let me plan my I want to stay let's do a night in Lexington, right? Like let's maybe stay Friday night, get up early Saturday, do the tailgate and then drive home, or vice versa. So that's I think
Yeah,
the real nice part of all of this
yeah,
is if I want to do just one night to
yeah,
go hit the road for a game, here's how I can plan it out. I can map it out, if you
yeah.
will.
We're doing that. We're like coming up for the Auburn game. My wife and my brother, and his wife, and they're going to stay the night. And so I always suggest doing it at the Keeneland games because those are never day games, right?
Yeah.
They've kind of got the old gentleman's agreement, I think, for that. Um, and then now we know it's at night. It's going to be a night kickoff. And the Vanderbilt game, which is on October 12th, is going to be 3:30 or later. So you're going to get the two Keeneland opportunities. You get that. So that's open. But no, like the road games really, other than Ole Miss, like everything is going to be late. A lot of people going to Austin, Nick. You're not going to get the dreaded 11 a.m. kick down there. You're going
Right.
to get 3:30 Eastern or later, so it'll be 2:30 local time or later down in Austin the week before they play Louisville, and then the Louisville game, the
That's
3:30 or later.
that's going to be weird. That is an adjustment for me because when
Two
Kentucky
years ago
plays
they played at 3, I think. Will Levis's final year, but every other year I believe it's been at noon in
at Kroger
Lexington.
Field. Yeah, yeah. But we've had a couple night games at U of L. For the most part, though, that's been kind of a rivalry weekend nooner. Um,
Yes,
so
I'd say about
it's just
70% of the time it feels like off the top of my
yeah,
head.
at least for this last vantage point of it. I know you like it, but there's still part of me that wishes we could spend all summer just like rivalry talking to Louisville fans and playing them on Labor Day Sunday. Like maybe it's just I want to go back to it's scratching that nostalgic itch like it. I can't help myself. There's part of me that wishes that was flip flop and you were playing Louisville the first weekend of the year instead of the last. Even though it's been kinder to Kentucky when you're playing it the last weekend of the year.
Yeah, we know, new listeners know where I stand on this.
Yeah, yeah.
It's better. You play your rival. You play the game that means the most at the end. It makes the end of the season mean more, and the game is too important to play at week 1.
Did you see? Did you see what's happening with the backyard brawl? Um, they're playing it early at Pittsburgh. It's a 3:30 kick,
Yeah,
and
They did that last 2 years. Yeah.
they moved the Pittsburgh Pirates they moved the game from instead of post game to pregame, which I don't. Would
What do
you?
you mean?
So the Pirates were scheduled to play at 7 o'clock that night at Three
Okay.
Rivers or whatever they call it, like right next to Heinz Field, where whatever I don't know what
PNC
they call
Park,
it. Yeah, but what's the what do they call the Steelers? It's
Acrisure
Heinz.
Stadium,
It's always Heinz Field in my heart. But
the
they're
big ketchup
going.
bottle.
The ketchup bottle game is at 3:30. The Pirates were supposed to play at 7, and they were like, "Well, to accommodate for the backyard brawl, we're going to play it at noon or 1 or something like that." It's like, do you really want the baseball game beforehand? I would think you would prefer afterwards and maybe get a
Well, at that time of the year, the Pirates are hanging tough right now, and they've got some young talent that's worth getting excited over, but they're probably going to be out of the race by that time. So
yeah, yeah. I
I wonder
guess
who
you
they're
could
playing.
tailgate with some hot dogs and beers at a baseball game.
I
That could
wonder
be
who they're
something.
playing because that could cause a problem if it's like the Cubs or something like that, a team that brings a ton of fans.
I forgot that, but I did see that it said uh, Pirates add Goodrum, and it said, "Well, that's what their specialty is finding good rum." Ba-dum, which I
Nice.
enjoyed that joke. Do we have any more scheduling takes other than I, I feel bad for the people who are really planning for the Grove. I know some of
I
you
mean,
out
that's
there are
really that's
very upset.
any other road trip. You got a great kickoff time. Florida's 3:30 or later. Tennessee's a
Hmm.
night game. That's the one that a lot of people go to. And like to me, Nick, like Texas is the game. Like 2 years ago, everyone that I knew was going to Ole Miss
Yeah.
that would travel. Now everyone I know that's traveling is going to Texas this year. And so you got the good kickoff time that time. It does stink for some of our um, friends that are wanting to go to Ole Miss or that booked that trip. The back to back noons really stinks. But overall, I think as a fan, it's a great slate. I mean, we can just focus on the home games. You go 7:45, 3:30, 7:30, 12:45 out the shoot. You
Yeah.
get South Carolina at 3:30. You get a night kickoff for Georgia. So that's nice. You come back for Vanderbilt 3:30 or later. Take a couple weeks off. Come back for Auburn night kickoff. Take a week off. Come back for Murray State 1:30. Come back at the end of the year. You're going to get a 3:30 or later kick for Louisville. Just for a season ticket holder, that's a pretty good slate. I think you even got dating back to the days when I bought tickets and went to the games. I like the Ohio and the Murray State games, Nick. I
Hmm.
like those at early in the day. So you
Yeah.
can get back home. But I also like the week one game, like the first home game being at night. Because you haven't tailgated all year, right? It's been a long time
Yeah.
since you tailgated. You can get out there, you can tailgate, you can work out the kinks before the first big game, and you have a full day to kind of figure out your system for this next year. So I think I like that. So for a
Yeah.
season ticket holder standpoint, like you couldn't ask for much better. And you're probably going to get some 3:30 games in here, and that's something that has kind of evaded Kentucky in some seasons. It's either been noon or 7:30. So you're going to get a nice little mix here, and you've got a couple already. You got two marquee games that are going to be at night with Auburn and Georgia, and so that alone, I think it makes it really enticing for you as a season ticket holder.
It certainly is. You mentioned the difficulty of the schedule. FPI says this is the fourth most challenging schedule in all of college football. Florida's got the hardest, and 9 of the top 10 most difficult schedules are all in the SEC. Because, baby, it just means more. Want to talk a little bit of recruiting, and want to let you know that this segment's brought to you by our good friend Andy Ludicky at My Perfect Franchise. He's a huge college sports fan and a veteran of the franchise game. He's owned multiple franchises and business, and you can use him as a consultant to, pull some of that knowledge from his brain, his expertise to help others find their American dream. Do it today. He'll help you out, help you evaluate the best franchises possible. If you want to get away out of corporate America or maybe just want a side hustle, just some way to diversify your income, reach out to Andy. He's got a ton of knowledge in the world of franchising, and the best of all his services are 100% free to you always. So go ahead, check him out. MyPerfectFranchise.net. is the website, or you can email Andy Ludicky at andy@myperfectfranchise.net. Like it, this was the first big official visit weekend for the Cats. And it's been pretty good news so far, and we're probably going to have some more good news on the horizon. But first things first, Darren Stray is a Kentucky Wildcat, top 500 offensive tackle prospect from Paw Paw, Michigan. It's
Great town
actually
name. I mean, that's like picture perfect.
well,
Like
you know the
out of a
sister
movie.
town. It's their big rivals
Mimi,
are
Meemaw.
Mamaw. Yeah, Mamaw. Damn it,
Love it.
Lucky, you took the joke right from me. It was all hanging fruit. What can I say? But Darren Stray's a good looking prospect, Luckett. I mean, this is it's one of
Play
those
in the
things.
Werther's Original Bowl.
But yeah, you're just firing all sorts of strays at the elderly now, aren't you?
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. Are we gonna keep doing this? We're gonna keep going out the dad jokes.
Yeah, if I get another one, I'll spit it out, but I don't
You'll
have any
try.
more right
You'll
now.
try. But the thing I like about Darren Stray is he doesn't really look like. I mean, he just looks like a big ass tight end, right? Like just an overgrown tight end, and that's. I mean, you're sort of modern offensive tackle, just a great athlete. We've got him measured at 6'6", 295, but I'd say he's probably up closer to 6'6", 310 now. And it's just whenever I saw him looking, I was like, this is a Landon Young, right? Like just maybe not as maybe a little bit more athletic to this point, maybe a little bit more put together. He's a track and field athlete like Landon. I really like this kid and think he can be a great athlete on the big blue wall. A great start at offensive tackle after the Cats only signed one high school offensive tackle over the last 2 recruiting cycles.
Yeah, just first off, kind of like the conversation we had last year around this time was like, or even before, it was when Liam Cohen was hired back. He's like, got to fix the quarterback recruiting, the high school quarterback recruiting. And it's kind of the same, I think, with Eric Wolford. He's got to fix Kentucky's high school tackle recruiting. And Stray was a big one, Nick. About 2 months ago, it kind of became clear he was like their number one target. I would say like the guy they could get. He was the top one. I would say. And then they had the visit schedule, but he had a lot of competition. He seemed like he was wanting to go on a lot of visits, so you didn't really know where they stood. But as you got closer to the visit, it seemed like something that Kentucky could wrap up. And we kind of alluded to that last week here on 11 Personnel. And so they were able to shut it down and lock it up here this weekend. And it's a big get for me. There is some projection you got to do with Darren Stray because there's not much pass protection at all, and the level of competition is not great where he's playing athletic wise across the line of scrimmage. And so I would have liked to see him at a camp to see like how he physically moves, kind of as a pass protector. But I think his well-rounded athleticism shows up. Like he's a good puller. He moves well on his feet. He plays with any guy 6'6", you're always going to look at how they bend and what kind of pad level they play at. He does flat back in the stance. He comes out, he dips his knees, rolls his hip through blocks. Like he does stuff that it's hard for some guys his height to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so that gets me excited about him. And he's a guy that I think is only going to add mass and strength to his frame, specifically once he gets into a college strength and conditioning program. Yeah. So a lot to like here. I think he's got right and left flexibility. Potentially, I wouldn't say he's definitely a left tackle or definitely a right tackle. I think he has a potential to play both. And so it's a really big get. And this is a prospect at tackle Kentucky simply just hasn't gotten here lately. So that in and of itself makes it a big recruiting win. And it's up in Michigan. You go on the Big Ten footprint. You beat Big Ten schools for him. Like Wisconsin, he's like a guy that Wisconsin always gets, and they always have on the line. Like from a small town in the Big Ten footprint up north in Michigan or Wisconsin, and then he comes in and ends up being starter for 2 years, and it's like gets drafted. It's like a third round draft pick. And so he has that look to him, just this big, strong, well-rounded athlete. And now Kentucky gets him, and I think he's a player to be really excited about. And he just got a new rankings up. He's back in the top 400 at the on three industry rankings. So he's a borderline 4-star here, top 10 player in Michigan.
Yeah,
And
top
then the
five
track
according to On3. Yeah,
Kentucky's all of Kentucky's guys in Michigan really have come from Detroit, so this is a little different. But the Michigan track record is outstanding.
yeah, yeah. Any, I'll take them. Right, like
Right.
Maxwell Harrison, DeAndre Square, Deion Walker. I think the hit rate's probably got to be what 85-90% up there as
Yeah.
far as
The only one
turning
I
into
went through it
starters.
today. The only one they missed on was DeAndre Buford, and he's gonna start. He's gonna be a 2-year starter this year at Cincinnati.
Was Ernest Sanders? That was another.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't go back that far. I
yeah.
did from the last 3 cycles, but yeah, he
But
was the
yeah,
one
I
I
mean
forgot
that.
about.
But it's like 2 or 3 guys tops who haven't really worked out for the Cats, who didn't come into not only just become starters but star players. So I like that aspect of it. And you mentioned just the college strength and conditioning program. I mean, it looks like he could add 30 pounds over a summer. Just kind of
Yeah,
like how Malachi Wood, just like, I mean, it was snap your fingers and he's got it. It boom, bam, bam, right? Like it. I'm very excited to see what Stray can do down the road. But I do think you just talk about the bend and the flexibility, the versatility. He's a very, very exciting offensive tackle prospect to get started. But it's very important to note it's just the start. They need more.
yeah.
And as we go further, you wrote something more in depth for KSR Plus on all the odds and ends. Um, and you can check that out now. If you don't have access to KSR Plus, use code UK1 and you're going to get 2 months of access for only $1. So check us out. Lots of recruiting content. If you're eating and drinking this stuff up right now, now's the time to be on KSR Plus because well, I could add some detailed analysis on this. I've got an RPM in for an offensive tackle to join him. So please, if you're enjoying this, go ahead and get on KSR Plus today.
May have a new RPM coming tomorrow. So just
Ooh, ooh,
so
interesting.
just so just hit that dollar sign up and come join us. You won't regret it.
Um, but there's a couple other guys. First, let's just mention the guys that are seemingly off the board. And that's Taryn Hedrick, who visited over the weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and as soon as he got home, he said, "All right, I'm actually going to go to the school that I OV'd last weekend. I'm committing to Ole Miss." That happened a few hours after Jaden Clark said, I'm not. I don't want to camp. I'm done. I'm not officially visiting." Um, which was a bit
Busy
of a
Sunday.
surprise. Yeah, yeah. Busy Sunday for one Mr. Luckett. So I the car part's fascinating for me because you would think coming off an ACL injury, you would want to go and show these schools that you're good enough to do it, that you didn't lose a step. But he said, "I'm not camping. I'm not going to do it." Meanwhile, another guy that they recruited in that spot, Jameel Atkins, he's Dayton, not Columbus, but he visited for camp a week or so ago. I was there for that one. Uh, he's going to be officially visiting next weekend, so
Mm-hmm.
make of that as you will. It That's one of those like it where I'm he feels like he's got a lot more of a is project the right word I'm looking for, but like he's a lot more raw than I think Stray would be. He's more of a project piece because he's only been playing football. He was a basketball kid who just started playing football when he got to high school. So he's got good feet in that regard. He's got great length, but he's 6'7", so like I worry about that pad level, right? Like you're seeing him just. I mean, he looks like he's standing straight up, like he's big Frankenstein out there. So there's working on that aspect, that bend to it, where I think it's a little bit more of a long-term project. But when you really need bodies in there, that's a big ass body, right? And he's from
Yeah.
a school that produces a good amount of talent. Kentucky's recruited there. Vince Merrill got a couple kids early on when he first got to UK. Hasn't as much as of late. He's got a really good teammate on the defensive line, Fats Weiss, who's going to be a big time 26 recruit. So that's one I'm going to keep an eye on. But we also have a couple other offensive tackles that we know are going to be OVing later on in the month as well.
Yeah, I think it's time to start looking at profiles. And what I mean that, like player profiles. Kentucky's got 2 offensive line commits, Nick, in this class. Darren Stray, Tucker Caddis. They all kind of fit. Like Tucker Caddis is a big guard, right?
Yeah.
6'4", 6'5", 300 something pounds. Darren Stray is a big tackle, 6'6". You could probably project him to be around 320, 330. Jeremy Atkins is a big tackle prospect. 6'7", 300 something pounds, probably going to grow to get to 330. He's huge. Jaden Clark is kind of 6'4", 6'5"-ish, 290 pounds. Let's look at just this physical size, what they're looking at. I think it kind of tells you something. Gerald Mincy, who they just added, is 6'6", 330, 340 pounds. Jalen Farmer is not as big, but he's bigger for a guard.
Mm-hmm.
And if you turn on Jalen Farmer's tape, it's just, hey, I'm moving you off the spot. I think the outside zone is dead. It's dead, right?
We're running down your damn throat.
They are running, vertically, whether it's inside zone or gap scheme, power, and they're going to mix and counter. But they're moving back to what they've done before, and they're going to get good at running downhill again. And that is the goal. And to do that, you have to be able to move people off the point. And I think you're starting to see that show up in recruiting, at least to me. Like, why did Kentucky move on from Clark? Why did he move on from him? Clark was on his official visit to Cincinnati. Could have been a thing where he camped at Ohio State. Nothing really happened. Kentucky was still kind of, we'll see. You might have I'm just going to go here. Like, I got a spot for me. I'm going to lock it in. It could have been just as much as that. And I look at the size and the profile, what they're looking for. I think the big-bodied guys in checking size boxes seems like it's important at guard and tackle. Center's a little different, but Spike Souls is a bigger guy too. I think not from a height standpoint, but from kind of a girth and lower body.
300 pounds, yeah, he's a big old boy, and coming off of his official visit. I still feel good about where UK stands, even though he is, it's not like there's an imminent commitment. He's going to go through the process and
so there's
do the July 4th announcement.
There's 2 tackles visiting over the next 2 weekends. You got Atkins the weekend of the 21st.
Yes.
And then you got Brian August from South Florida this weekend. He's OV'd at Boston College and at Syracuse. And now Kentucky gets the 3rd visit. And so where do they stand with?
What kind of profile we got here?
Now, from our database, Nick, he's 6'6", 285 pounds. So depending if he can put on what he fits the size, like they're bigger.
We need some
humans.
big some bitches.
We need bigger humans on the offensive line. That seems to be a point of emphasis to me. They just look at the physical profiles of some of these guys. That seems to be an emphasis. We hear Mark Stoops, he always wants to play, mean and nasty. Like, you need big guys to play mean and nasty. And to play how they're going to want to play, at least how I think they're going to want to play, run downhill, they need bigger on the line of scrimmage. Like, Marcus Cox is a good tackle, but he doesn't necessarily fit this size profile that they want or are looking for. And I think that's going to change moving forward. They're just going to I think you're going to see them get bigger up front. And I think you're seeing it play out in this recruiting class. Like, I don't think it's a coincidence that Caddis is, hey, we're going to play you at guard, Stray. You're 6'6", 300 something pounds. Brian August, Jeremy Atkins have emerged as the next tier tackle targets, and they're both big. Like, I don't think that's a coincidence.
Yeah, I don't either. And I like the sound of that. I mean, when in doubt, especially when it comes to offensive linemen, I mean, getting the top tier guys, I thought it was funny. Somebody, I don't know if it's Twitter, where, I see a lot of messages everywhere, but somebody was like, come we never get these big 4 and 5-star offensive tackles? It's like, because there's only a few of them, and they're all going to those schools, right?
Because
So,
Kentucky hasn't had any in a while.
yeah, the state of Kentucky, it's been landing. I mean, you look
They
at the
had
best
and they
offensive
they got
lines.
Keontae Goodwin.
Yeah, and it didn't work out. The other guys did. The Drakes and Landons of the world worked out. Keontae did not. But to that point, betting on traits is I think a pretty wise decision when it comes to offensive linemen, because it is kind of like you have to be high volume at offensive line, because you don't know how much of that is going to translate at the next level. So,
Yeah, I mean, so much of this offseason, Nick, is they're really just like throwing it in our face. Like, we're getting back to the roots here.
run the damn ball.
I want people, when I say this, not to overreact. It's not going to be an Eddie Graham offense, but it's going to look a lot like it. They're not going to huddle. They're going to be getting to the line. They're not going to be snapping it super fast, but they're not going to be going,
Snail's pace,
getting up to the They're going to run the ball by running downhill, but spreading you out. Like Grant, they used to have a field day by getting quads unbalanced to one side and then running Benny back to the weak side.
Yeah.
They used to have a field day just running inside zone off of that. Had an absolute or split zone off of that. They did it all the time and for a lot of success. And you're going to see stuff like, and then sprinkling in QB run in there with zone read actions. Like, it's going to look like that. Now I think the receivers are better than what he had at that time. But it's gonna look, the offense is gonna look structurally a lot like that, and it's gonna be about, all right, let's get smaller boxes, and let's be able, when we get lighter boxes, let's be able to run it downhill behind our line and create big plays, and let's try to create big plays in the run game by formation and people out. I think the one thing with the last offense over the last 3 years, there's a lot of condensed stuff, right? It's playing with fullback. It's playing with 2 tight ends. It's, trying to get everybody in the box and create mismatches that way with motion and all this type of stuff. But what that does, if you can't, absolutely dominate the point of attack, you just got all these guys in the damn box, right? And it makes it just so hard to run the football.
Yeah.
And in 21, they were really good at it because they had a really good offensive line. And when they didn't, they got exposed a little bit at times. Specifically from an efficiency standpoint, I think this past year. So I think what you're going to see them is spread it out more. That's what they mean, and I think when they say modern college, but pro style, but a little bit more modern college, it's like, all right, let's use these hash marks a little bit to our advantage. Let's spread it out, get this defense spread out, create some lighter boxes, and then try to run the ball more effectively that way, and then run the quarterback as well. And I think that's what the offense is going to look like. And a byproduct of that is like, hey, we need to get bigger on the offensive line if we're doing it. There was a time where maybe we were looking for more athleticism, I think, in offensive line targets, or that was a box we were trying to check, where now it's just, let's just get big and let's try to move people off the spot.
Ooh, I like where you went there. You went off there a little bit. Tell him.
I've got that in me every once in a while.
Tell him, like it. Tell him. We got more official visitors coming up this weekend. I haven't dug into the list as of late. Oh, I also wanted to mention, really like where Kentucky's at for Javion Campbell, which that would be a third top 200 guy, joining Martellus Carter and Marquise Davis. Campbell, dude, that guy's huge. Holy, I
saw him leaving on Sunday. Yeah, he's a big dude.
I've seen some, you saw like some profiles of him where he's got this big upper body. But to see them tree trunk legs of his, holy crap, that kid. Yeah, there's some Brian Robinson athleticism there where you're just like, how is this guy built like he is? He's currently at Auburn on an official visit, and he's got a couple more coming up. But I really like where Kentucky is in the Javion Campbell recruitment. Voight, I'm a little distracted right now, though, because we had a huge news story break just before the show. Joey Chestnut has spoken. He's spoken like it. And,
what did he say?
Well, he was kicked out of the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. And frankly, it was a bunch of malarkey. all over sponsorship stuff, which you'll never believe this. Major League Eating, a lot of it is tied to corporate sponsorships for whatever food they're eating. I'm sure you were shocked by that. But since he was getting paid by another company, essentially he said, "This is baloney." He said, "I was gutted to learn from the media that after 19 years, I'm banned from the hot dog eating contest. I love competing in that event. I love celebrating America with my fans all over this great country in the fourth, and I've been training to defend my title, to set the record straight. I do not have a contract with Major League Eating or Nathan's, and they are looking to change the rules from the years past as it relates to other partners I can work with. This is apparently the basis on which I'm being banned and doesn't impact the fourth event. Sadly, it's a decision Nathan's and MLE are making and it will deprive the great fans' holidays' usual joy and entertainment. To my fans, I love you and appreciate you. Rest assured that you'll see me again soon. Stay hungry." What an American travesty. They're going to kick Joey Chestnut out because he's so good at eating hot dogs that he's trying to make more money elsewhere. And now Nathan's Hot Dog says, no, 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 no. You can only be a Nathan's Hot Dog guy. You can't be shilling other dogs. Can't be doing that. Now, it was a little odd that he was shilling out for Impossible meat. Like, I mean, come on, Joey.
Gotta go where the money goes.
You're the hot dog guy and you're going to go to the fake meat, but you're exactly right. I will blame no one for selling out because I will sell out in an instant. If you want me to sell out for something, give me the product. I'll happily sell out. But I mean, what are you doing, Nathan? Like, what you got? Figure it out. Either pay your man or I'm just glad that I've always been a ballparks Frank kind of guy. Like it's always been ballpark Franks in the Roush house. They're worth it, and they're like I would much rather have a plump dog than the skinny wieners that Nathan's is showing.
I like the Nathan's dogs better. Sorry to disappoint you.
Yeah, but they don't plump when you cook them. Ballpark Franks, they plump when you cook them.
Yeah, you're the person that they hook, line, sinker with that ad campaign.
Yeah, well, you know what? Nathan's should have got. How come Nathan's didn't? Why haven't they been just paying Joey Chestnut $1 gazillion and making commercials with him? Like seriously, why haven't they been doing this? I know he's got all the leverage, but who cares? It's like Tiger Woods and Nike Golf, or just make him your guy. What am I missing here?
More money in vegan meat, apparently.
Apparently so. I don't. Are we going to protest the hot dog eating competition on July 4th?
I was about to ask you. That's like an every third year thing for me. A lot of times I forget it's on. Right? It's like on at like noon. I just forget.
Yeah.
You know, you're doing stuff, whatever. You just forget it's on.
Yeah.
But the one thing about watching it is it freaks my wife out.
Oh yeah.
It freaks her. So like, do the women in your life, do they get the same reaction?
It's usually we're usually at my in-laws because they have their big picnic that weekend. So we're in small town Ohio. But it's like one of those things that we have to watch, but her mother and her are just like the whole time, but like we have to watch it. Like it's a bizarre sort of deal. Because I'm with you where I'm one way or the other, and I might actually be more interested knowing that Joey Chestnut isn't just going to win by 20 if he's not in it.
Yeah.
So
it feels like, I'm not to say that women can't enjoy the hot dog eating contest, definitely can, but it definitely feels like boys high school, like college humor event. Like, let's watch this guy shove a bunch of glizzies down. See how many hot dogs he can eat while he's dipping them in butter or water or whatever they're doing.
The one thing I enjoy watching it for is just the guy who introduces him. That's the best part of it. Like, he's just like, he's basically what Rick Pitino aspires to be when it comes to hyperbole. Every time Pitino steps in front of the microphone, that guy, the PA guy, just goes off. He's entertainment. But I'm not gonna lie too. Like it when I initially saw the story in the New York Post, I thought it was a work. I thought they were doing this to strum up some publicity. And even if it initially wasn't, it would be great if, like a few hours before, they said, let's make it happen. Or do you remember the year they were going to cancel it because of severe weather? And there was that
Yes, I do
picture.
remember that.
There was the picture of Joey Chestnut, like, just pissed off that he couldn't eat 60 hot dogs. And he was like, we're eating these dogs, damn it.
The only thing I really remember I just remember like every year it seems like it's 1,000 degrees there, and they're all on the boardwalk. There's what is it?
At Coney Island.
Coney Island.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It
just
looks
seems
so
1,000
hot.
degrees, and the big competitive eaters, you can just see they're going through it, right? Like they're running hot. They run hot already, and it's already 100 degrees.
Did you see the video of Chestnut pounding the pints of ice cream the other day?
No,
Oh, it was at minor league baseball, I think, and he 5 or 6
I
pints
did
of
see
ice
that. Now
cream.
that you
I mean,
say that,
and it
just
looks
disgusting behavior.
it's and that's the thing. At least with the hot dogs or like the White Castle sliders, which I think White Castle sliders would be my best food eating competition because they go down so easy, man. I mean, and you're paying for it afterwards. The
How many
indigestion would be
in your
awful.
heyday? How many you think you could throw back? Now, are you talking cheeseburgers or just the hamburgers?
Cheeseburgers, yeah, you got to. The cheese just tastes better. I mean, I could do the burgers, and it's probably like better for quantity in that standpoint. But I mean, I would split crave cases, and it would be like that's not even trying. Like that's just a normal like
Yeah, that's
I'm
more than I could
hungry.
do.
Yeah.
I think 10 was about the max I could get up there.
So the ones that I don't understand are the cold with the ice cream or the texture
Yeah.
with the oysters or the hot. Like, have you ever seen the people who just do we're gonna eat the hottest pepper known to mankind? I just that is just like you're just torturing yourself at that point. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I've seen those. So yeah, why would you want to do that? But that's kind of how Hot Ones is based. Like it's just
Correct.
hey, watch this celebrity eat something too hot, and we're gonna
Which
ask him
that's why I
random
like
questions.
KSR sauce at KS Bar. Is it's like it's a heat that you know it's there, but it's not too bad. Locally, I'll do the donkey at Roosters, where it's like I can feel the heat, but I'm not. I might sweat a little bit, but like it's not uncomfortable. I don't understand the let's ruin our whole day sort of deal. The same way I don't understand why anyone would ever trash talk Michael Jordan. I mean, did we not have we not learned our lesson, right? Like, I mean, you go back to the Olympics with what's his name? They ended up playing Tony Kukoc. He didn't even talk trash to Jordan Pippen, and they were like, "We're personally out to murder this man because he's coming for our jobs." Like Michael Jordan takes everything personally. So what does Xander Schauffele do? He gets a lead on him in a game of golf, so fucking trash to him, and then Michael Jordan beats the PGA champ without getting any strokes in his final 3 holes. The number 2 golfer in the world, Michael Jordan's just like, "Oh, you're gonna talk smack to me? Well, let me just knock a few birdies in, Xander." Like I that guy, he's undefeated. He's unreal. Xander, buddy, I get it. You're riding high from the PGA win. That was awesome. Don't talk trash to Michael Jordan. Just don't do it. And now I'm worried. How's he going to be going to the U.S. Open? You got your teeth kicked in.
I was thinking about this the other day, not to get into the Jordan stuff, but like think how crazy it is that people want to go like celebrities go play golf with golfers.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine if like um just trying to think like
Peyton Manning.
yeah, no, imagine if you just, so you just went and played pickup ball with Jason Tatum. you know, like, you know, like let me go hit BP with Shohei right quick. Like no other sport can you do that. None. But yet
Yeah.
it happens all the time with golfers. It's the craziest thing to me. Like I was thinking about that the other day. Like there's never like, oh, hey,
What's this? Hey, Aroldis Chapman, you want to go
yeah,
throw
let's
some
go play
strikes?
catch. Yeah, let's go play catch.
Oh man, that's a
No
great
other
point.
sport is like that, and it's insane to me that they just go and play with randos. It
Yeah.
happens all the like
I
they
mean,
have
before every
the
tournament, they do the pro am. You know?
They have the matches. Like,
Yeah.
imagine if it was just like, hey, Xander, let's go watch 3-on-3 with you'll be on Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown's team, and you play
Hey,
three, and then
you
we'll
know
have
what?
Spieth over here with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, and everyone will watch it.
Hey, why don't you go take a 3-step drop back while we got somebody rushing
Yeah.
you and go throw the ball up to Travis Kelsey?
Hey, Xander, here, yeah, come up to Cincinnati. You can run 7-on-7s with the Bengals. Come on.
Oh man, that's a great point. That's a great point. But I did use that little transition there to get to U.S. Open talk, because I did give out the Xander pick last time. So shout out to me. I made everybody money. Um, Shout out to the $80 pants that we finally got to see, and the boo boos from Officer Gillis. I texted you the other day, Luckett, and I think it is the quickest turnaround between majors, but the Scotty Scheffler hangover stuff and also him just winning
Winning.
every weekend that he's played has made me think that the PGA just happened. But no, it's the US Open's here. We're going to Pinehurst this weekend, and we often talk about how Tiger's dominant run will never happen ever again. But Scheffler's 3-1. I mean, that is insane. And that like this
If he
is
wins this weekend, there's definitely like the comps you're going to be able to pull is kind of like, oh, wow.
and it would be very disappointing as a Lavillian that him getting arrested and having his caddy not show up for Saturday could be the only thing keeping him from a Grand Slam, right? I mean, that could, like that would be in hell his caddy not showing up and going to a graduation might have. I mean, that was the day he played poorly, but it's insane right now. 5 of his last 8. And even when he played bad, he still was able to hang on and win Sunday at the Memorial.
Yeah, and it's not just like he's not winning these like random tournaments either. He's won Arnold Palmer's tournament, Jack Nicklaus's tournament,
Yeah.
Augusta National, and then he won the week
R-
after the Masters, after he won the
RBC
Masters in
at
Harbortown.
Charles. Yeah.
In Hilton Head. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's like whoa, and he's won TPC. He's won the Players 2 times in a row. He's won the Masters 2 times in a row. It's like, good God Almighty. So, like, you almost have to bet him this week. I don't know how you don't bet him. The thing about the PGA that was disappointing, if he just doesn't have that Saturday, if he goes out there and
Yeah.
has the typical 60s round he had all the rest of the week,
Right.
which he probably would have had
even
not
if it
for
was
the circumstances.
even if it was like 3 under, like a
That's
bad
that's what I'm
round. Yeah.
Then he's breathing down Schauffele's neck, and then that Sunday could look different.
Right.
If it's him and Bryson instead of just Bryson. So, but that's not to say, but like if he's in it on Sunday, you're going to be like, oh, of course he's going to win. Like, what was I thinking? Like that's why I just don't want to. Like, I wouldn't if I was making multiple wagers this weekend. I would not want to sit down on Sunday and not have a Scotty 3-1 to win ticket in my pocket.
Plus 280 right now on FanDuel.
Yeah, plus 280 on FanDuel when I looked it up today.
Crazy. Here's another thing too that I'm struggling with, because, and I know some of it's what he did at the PGA, but am I being foolish for just saying, all right, Bryson, go win another one of these, right? Like if anybody else is going to do it, it's the guy who's hitting the ball a country mile and is also seemingly putting better, because that was always his issue.
He's always been a good punter. It's been the irons. It's probably his biggest issue. But
I just always get in my head when I pick the guy who I don't want recency bias to influence my decision. Is what I'm trying to get at.
The one thing with Bryson, this tournament chipping is going to be really important. You're not going to just be able to putt it. And chipping's he's kind of on that. So that would that'd be a reason I'd be a little afraid of him. But traditional U.S. Open, like his game's kind of made for this. Like bomb it, hit your mid to long irons, and then do that consistently when carnage is eating up the rest of the field. Just hover around par and then run away and win one. That's how he won Winged Foot back in the COVID year. Was just bombed it and then
Mm-hmm.
Had a few more birdies than everybody else come Sunday. So yeah, typically U.S. Open. I look at him, but hard for me on the live guys is I like to look at some of the numbers that over a season worth of work, like where you're going compared to your field, the rest of the field, and they don't really have that because they're playing fake golf over there, and so it's harder for me to bake them in. But looking at some DFS matchups, Nick's like Dustin Johnson hasn't played well, but you can get him for a really cheap price. So just looking at a top 20 of him might be worth it because he's going to have a good number on him, and he's got if it comes together, you could see him when obviously there's going to be a lot of bogeys and some plus scores near the top of the leaderboard at some point this week. I could definitely see him sneaking into like a top 20. So that's a guy off live that I wouldn't be afraid to back this weekend.
Do you have any top 10 sort of
Yeah,
as I
sure.
I love the top 10ers even though it hasn't really been working out as much. Um, you know,
Yeah.
hasn't worked as well for me a long time ago. I also want to say here's one thing I know about the course. Turtle greens. The turtle greens are going to slide off. And
Yeah.
I saw the clip of somebody put out the clip of Phil hitting the ball before it stopped rolling recently, and that is
The old
just an
double
all-timer.
putt. Yes.
My
We got that
gosh.
Shinnecock. Yeah.
What in the world was he thinking? My God.
He was just I think it was Saturday. So
And
he made the cut. He
it
was
was
just
just
they were furious at the course. And then I think what happened, Nick, the players were so mad and the USGA was getting so much backlash, they watered down everything the next day, and then like Tommy Fleetwood went out and shot a 63, almost set the US Open record or the major championship record, and like a bunch of guys were firing 65s, and it was like, well, you just did like the opposite. So that's what that was about. But yeah, that's one of my
yeah.
favorite US Open memories was when he double tapped.
That and Joe Buck. Who was it? Was it Brooks's girlfriend or whatever? Where he messed up the girlfriend name at
Yeah, I think so.
Pebble
That
Beach.
sounds right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So
uh,
for this week, Pinehurst, like this is had a lot of good like U.S. Open moments. Like the most famous one in '99 when Payne Stewart beat Phil Mickelson, which at the time was just like a monstrous win. That was back in Tiger was really strong, and then Payne Stewart was kind of like a fan favorite.
and
Um,
Phil still hadn't won one yet. I
Phil
believe he
never
was.
won a U.S. Open. That was one that he kind of let slip away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the one major he hasn't won as the U.S. Open. So yeah, that was one of his runner-up finishes. Was there in '99, and then in 2014, Martin Keimer shot 8 or 9 under, and that was 8 strokes better than the rest of the field. I believe he went 65 out the gate. So like an historic like scoring record, but Payne Stewart won, I believe, at +1. And then everyone out the field other than Keimer was at -1. So like -4, -5 is probably going to win this tournament this weekend. It's super long and it's only a par 70. So like Valhalla was 7,600 yards and was a par 72. This is a par 70 at 7,500 yards. So a lot of par fours, only 2 par fives on the course. So, and there's some 4 par fours that play over 500 yards. So like you got to hit the driver and you got to hit your long irons this week. Like there's no really getting around that. And then the greens are tough because you got to hit in the target zone. You got to hit in the landing zone. If you don't, you're going to roll out. And the one interesting thing about Pinehurst is there's no rough. It's kind of like what they call I think they call it native areas. It's like
What we call it.
wiregrass, got plants, the SHIT.
I call it the dickweed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just here's a tall like shoots of grass that frogs live in. It's just
Yeah. And
yeah.
so now with that stuff, sometimes you can get really good shots off that, and sometimes you've got impossible shots. It's really kind of a luck of the draw or luck of the spin of the wheel. So that's kind of the layout. And this week, there's some people kind of comparing Pinehurst to Augusta National that it's going to be a second shot golf course. It's super long, so I don't know necessarily about that. You still got to get off the tee, but second shots are really important, and getting close to the hole is really important. And so that's kind of what I'm looking at. And then my top 10 this week is Sahith Theegala at +360.
He
He's
had a good
26 years old.
PGA.
Number
Yeah,
11
it was
player in the
the
world.
Sunday that didn't do so
Yeah.
well for him.
He was in contention, and he fell off.
Yeah.
This will only be his third U.S. Open, but he ranks in the top 25 in strokes gained approach, and then from 150 to 175 yards, which is where I think a lot of these shots are going to be, even for some of the big hitters. He's in the top 15 in strokes gained approach. So I think I like that. He's one of the best players in the world. Top 10, could definitely see him. And he's the kind of guy I think could grind. Now, he lets emotions get the little best of him at some points when in his rounds. So that worries me a little bit. But he's got the game, I think, to be right there in contention. Like, I think he has a real chance to contend for this. It wouldn't surprise me he's in one of the last groups on Sunday. So I like him at plus 360, top 10.
Love it. Tagawa, kind of a fan favorite too.
Yeah.
So
And then I have one long shot this week. This guy is 35 years old. He's never played in a major championship before, but he's having a career season. He's got a pair of top 10 finishes, and he's got good irons. His name's Justin Lauer. Now, he's missed a couple of cuts entering this week, but you can get him a top 20 at 7-1. I think it's definitely he's a guy I think you could sneak in there. So if you're looking for bigger odds, I like Lauer at 7-1, top 20. And then Ludwig Aberg and Corey Connors are two other guys I like. They kind of fit with a long iron in the approach play. Now, Connors, I backed him in the Masters, had a bad round, and he's never made a cut at the U.S. Open. I believe 3 or 4 straight missed cuts, so that worries me a little bit. And then Aberg's still kind of young, so I'm not going to play him this week. But those are two other guys I like. And then, obviously, Scheffler feels like the man to beat.
it's fun. I like the U.S. Open because it's I know I'm gonna get to watch it on Sunday. It's the perk of having it on Father's Day. It's like, all right, well, that's what I want to do. I want to watch some golf in the afternoon. Let me take a little nap.
That's what Taylor. She was like, "What do you want?" I believe last year she was like, "What do you want to do on Father's Day?" I was like, "I literally just want to sit on the couch and watch the U.S. Open." Like,
Yeah.
if I could just do that, if you just let me sit and watch 5 hours of golf, I'll be happy.
Yeah, some of my friends were like, "Are y'all want to go golf early Sunday morning?" It's like, no, I want to be hungover from night races. Like, I don't just let me just kind of nurse a hangover, watch a little golf on TV, play with the kids a little bit. It'll be a great day. Hopefully, all you dads out there are having a happy Father's Day and celebrate with your pops. I got to address some issues in the chat too, like it, because first and foremost, we got some people who are mad at us for talking non-football. Folks, it's June 11th. We do a weekly football podcast. Like, come on. Like, give us a damn break here, all right? We talk plenty of football. Lucky one on a damn 5-minute soliloquy about recruiting offensive tackles, grand, and all this sort of stuff. You ain't getting that anywhere else, okay? So just chill the hell out. Secondly, we've got questions about the helmet communications, which we talked about ad nauseum in the spring. So nobody, I know you're here now and you're asking. We've got a long catalog of podcasts. We talked about it quite a bit. Here's the long story short. They're radios. They're pretty easy to work. They're going to make things work quicker. It's going to be fine. The only time they mess up all spring, Brock was rolling out in the spring game and had to ad-lib, and it was the biggest play of the day. So, like, it's going to be fine. They're going to work faster. I don't think you need to bring in an NFL guy to make sure that the damn walkie-talkies work. Like, it's going to be an overall positive, but we're not talking about it now because they don't wear helmets in June. All right, they're running. We saw them the other day. They're doing team bonding stuff. Like, this is strength and conditioning. They get 2 hours a week to do OTAs. I'm walking around the facility and Gavin Wimsatt's throwing with Harley Gilmore. Right, like this is June, so this is the pregame to the pregame.
Too.
It's kind of if I was to do this on a microcosm of a day for a football game, this is me drinking coffee and writing the morning post before college game day starts on a Saturday. Like we're getting there. Like the real stuff is starting to happen, but it's still very early, and we can't blow our load too soon. We got a long way to go. So yeah, it should.
The only thing I'll say about the helmet comms is there will be some trial and error, but that's something that we probably won't know much about. Like, they're not going to really talk about it.
And that's going to be every program in the country. I mean, they're all doing this for the first time. So, but I do appreciate y'all sticking around to listen an hour into a football podcast in June. But I got a little triggered there, and maybe some of it's like it. I wasn't up late talking to Nick Mingione. As late as you, but I'm still up pretty damn late. And my old ass, I can't getting up early and the 7 a.m. radio show. I'm doing solo this week, which you're gonna be joining me on Thursday. So I appreciate it. You taking a little time to kick it with me on Thursday. before you head out to vacation. So we still got a lot going on. It's a lot of juggling. But it's time we do get out of here. I got to go write a post because we got people on vacation. So look it. Have a happy Father's Day. Enjoy your U.S. Open. Enjoy your vacation, and hopefully we get some commitments in the meantime. How about it?
Same to you, my man. Last year, like it absolutely popped off when I left for vacation. Like, I mean, I think they got 9 commitments or something ridiculous, so I was out for 10 days. I don't think it'll be that much, but I think we will have a couple come off the board, and so definitely a more exciting time, I think. And then it all starts slowing down right around 4th of July, and then we get in the talking season. So that's when we really get our preseason gears
Mm-hmm.
ramped up. Like I know it's real, Nick, when I get that feel still in my hand. Like when I get that in my hand after the 4th of July,
Yeah,
then it's like
it's here.
now we go.
All right. Well, everybody, we appreciate you listening. We appreciate you following along. For Adam Luckett, I'm
Happy
Nick
Father's
Roush.
Day to all listeners out there.
Go Cats and go Crow Green.